I'd say my best memory would be coming in second last year at States, just enjoying the atmosphere of the whole team celebrating together at the end of a long season of hard work and being able to say goodbye to the seniors in a positive way. It was really fun.
So my favorite memory of Tatnall cross country was my freshman year. We were down at St. Andrews for the disc conference meet, and I just remember coming down the final straightaway and right by the finish, looking up at the clock and seeing 1956. That was the first time I'd broken 20 minutes ever in cross country, and I was overwhelmed with what I'd been able to do in that race, and oh my gosh, it's still a great memory, and I still remember that race to this day.
My best memory is, so basically it was the end of freshman year, season just ended, everything just ended, and Brad, who was a senior at the time, was out for reasons I would not like to state, and so I got moved up to the varsity for regionals. Now this race in varsity, it was my first varsity race ever. I got completely hammered. I came in second to last overall out of like 300, but it was fun. It was in North Carolina. It was awesome. Great experience. Would do it again.
My favorite memory was my freshman year at the disc championship. And I remember coming up the final straightaway and just seeing my whole team there for me. It was all the varsity girls, and then just having the whole team cheering me on was really good.
My best memory from cross country is my freshman year at the county meet when we were not supposed to beat Padua, and leading up to that we had talked all week about our plan, and then winning and getting to enjoy it with my teammates was so fun.
I think the funniest thing that has happened to me in terms of interactions with coaches was when Grace and I were in the van back from Cary freshman year, and we were just doing our own thing, and we just tuned back in because I think we needed to ask them to go use the bathroom or something.
It was keep in mind, just the two of us.
Just Grace and I in the back of the van, and up front, Coach Yin and Coach Castagno were having a conversation, and we realized that they were listening to Jesus rock the entire time, full on singing about Jesus, strumming on a guitar. It was a good time.
So one of my favorite memories with Castagno was when, this was last year, Archer and I were on the van ride coming home from a race with Castagno and a few other coaches. And Archer will agree with me, this is probably one of the best van rides we've ever been in, just the two of us. And Castagno was driving the van, and that day the weather was terrible. It was pouring down rain. And I remember we were right by the back roads at Tatnall, like Centerville Road and some of the other ones. And there were no cars there, and all of a sudden Castagno just starts picking up the speed of the van and then slowing down, then picking it up. And at the same time, he was tooting his horn and flashing his lights. And it was so much fun being in that van ride. I've never seen Castagno drive a van like that before.
So everyone knows how in the middle of races, McElroy's be in the best possible spot no one thinks of and just say whole sentences of stuff while we're going. Well, it was New York. I'm not entirely sure if he didn't have a quote planned or if he just didn't know what to say, but going off some things he said to me previously, I was running up the side, Max was on the side of me, and he just yelled, "Gritty!" right at me. And that, I don't know why I don't remember any other Mac quotes, that's just the only one that I remember.
Our funniest memory with the coach had to be this year when we were doing a long run at a new site. So we were going, and we had no idea where we were going, and there was 10 of us, and we started running with Coach Weymouth, and we had a 45-minute run, and we started out, and we got a little bit worried around 43 minutes. Where are we going? What are we doing? And he was like, "Oh, I know the way, just keep going. So we kept running, and everyone's freaking out.
The whole time, we just kept asking, we were like, "You know where you're going, right?" He goes, yeah, I know where we're going. And we just kept asking him that. And, finally, we get to a certain point where we just have no idea where we are. But he tells us he knows exactly where we are. And then he leans down, and there's, this big puddle of water, and he splashes his face with this water, cleans it off or whatever, and then maybe 20 feet away, there's a sign that says, sewage, runoff water, and so he definitely just splashed poop water all over his face.
But, it was very reassuring because he was like, "Oh, I do this all the time." So we all were like, okay, he actually knows where he's going. We all thought we were just in the middle of nowhere.
The course that for me is consistently the most painful, and like the race that for me is always super painful, is white clay. And I know a lot of people really like it or like aren't that offended by it because it's early season and it's kind of chill. But for some reason, white clay, I always go out so fast. No matter how hard I'm trying not to, I just go out so hard and then die by the time I'm coming back.
Okay, so one of the worst races I've ever had, and this was probably the most painful race too. Actually, this was both years, but last year and this year at Foot Locker up at Van Cortlandt. Last year, I was probably a half a mile into the race maybe, and there was this really sharp turn, and I took it too tightly around this white pole or post, and since I took it too tightly, someone stepped on my shoe and flat tired me, and I ended up running with a flat tire the rest of the race. I was honestly a little afraid to stop and fix it, and so that race I ran with a flat tire the rest of the way, and I was really disappointed because I was feeling good that day too, and I ran a terrible time. And then this year at Foot Locker, my legs were just destroyed, and it was so painful because I went out really fast in that first mile of the course, and then the whole second mile was like really rolling hills between part of the front loop and the whole back loop was just filled with hills, and my legs were just destroyed for all those hills. And then luckily my last mile was faster than my second mile, but I really, like, that second mile was very, very painful for me.
So the question was most painful race, and as soon as we said it, everyone said Six Flags, Six Flags. Six Flags wasn't as painful as it was just completely frustrating. Like, it didn't hurt, it was just, oh, are you serious? The entire time. My most painful race was probably my very last race, States. This is the only time this has ever happened to me. As I was running, first of all, I barely remember coming around the bend around like the baseball cages or whatever, mainly because I felt like I was almost blind. This is the only time this has ever happened. My vision was super blurred. I could barely see anything. Like, I was seeing like kind of like color trails on everything. I could hear like static almost. That was probably just the crowd cheering, but it sounded like static. And just absolutely everything just faded out. The only thing left to do was running, and it hurt like hell.
Okay, so I think my worst / most painful race was probably my freshman year when we did Oberod. I definitely didn't do as much work as I should have that summer leading into the year, and Oberod was like our second race at that point, first 5K, and let me tell you, I thought I was gonna die.
My most painful race is easily Brandywine Creek State Park. Every time we go there, it's unbelievably painful.
I personally am not a big fan of Manhattan. I just can't stand that course.
Okay, I do not like Oberod, just the beast. Every time we've gone up there, I've always just like felt like almost walking up that hill. It's really brutal.
Okay, so I know everyone always hates on Oberod. I know Oberod, like, it's hilly, it's terrible. Oh no, there's hills. There's a hill. Oh my gosh, it's Oberod. There's a hill. Oh my god, the beast. Oh my god. Brandywine Creek State Park. The single worst course I have ever run on. I'm like, Oberod, yes, it does have hills. But Oberod, it's very well maintained. Everywhere you go, every single step is grass. There might be a route somewhere, but everything's grass. It's perfect to run on. It's the perfect I don't know. But Brandywine Creek State Park, you run on, you step one there, there's a rock. Step one there, you step into a pit, you trip. Step somewhere else, there's hardened clay stuff everywhere. Everyone always talks about Oberod. Brandywine Creek State Park is the worst cross-country course ever created, and I am so glad that I did not run it this year.
Six Flags course.
So my least favorite course has to be the Six Flags course. I'm sure many people haven't seen it because it's like the first one we've done this year, first time we've done it. But it's basically like running up sand dunes, and also it was like 90 degrees that day, so it was really bad.